Alright everybody, this video is going to be referring to solving logarithmic equations. Recently we just talked about solving exponential equations, and we're going to switch it up a little bit. So, here we got log base 4 of 2x minus 3 equals log base 4 of x plus log base 4 of x minus 2. Now, we're just going to take this step by step using properties that we know, and soon we'll be able to just get x all by itself. So here we have a log being added to another log. So using the properties that we all know, we know we can combine those two using multiplication. Alright, so now we have log base 4 of 2x minus 3 equals log base 4 of x times x minus 2. Since these are both the same logs, so they're both the same log with the same base, we can assume the stuff inside are equal to each other. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm just going to distribute this. I'm going to distribute this x to both these terms right away. Now we got ourselves a quadratic, and remember how to solve quadratics. We first need to make sure it's equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 2x to both sides, add 3 to both sides, and we're going to be left with 0 equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay, that's easily factorable, and if you didn't want to factor, you could always do the quadratic formula. But we got x minus 3, x minus 1. So now we set both those equal to 0. And we get x equals 3 and x equals 1. Now, with these logarithms, I'm sure you saw in the last class where these logs have domain issues. We can't have anything inside that's a negative or a 0. So I'm just going to double check to make sure these values don't make the inside negative or 0. So if we were to plug x equals 3 into any of these logarithms, they would all have to come out to be positive. So let's plug in 3 into this problem right here. 2 times 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3, so that one works out fine. Plug in 3 for this x, that's still a positive, so that works. Plug in 3 for this x, we have 3 minus 2, which is 1, so that works out fine. Now let's check the 1 to make sure that all these are going to end up being positive. If we plugged in 1 into this logarithm, we have 2 times 1 minus 3, which is negative 1. So if we did log base 4, 2x minus 3, when x equals 1, we will come out to log base 4 of negative 1, which that is not allowed. So we're going to disregard this x equals 1, because that gives us answers that are not possible. Alright, so our answer for this logarithm up here is just a simple x equals 3. Okay, here we got a little more tricky of a problem, but I think it's just as doable. We have log base 3 of 9x minus log base 3 of x minus 8 equals 4. We're trying to solve for x here, so let's just take it step by step. Looking at these logarithms, we see a log being subtracted by another log, so we can combine those using our properties that we all know. Or should know by now, I should say. When it's being subtracted, we combine those by using division. So we're going to have log base 3 of 9x over x minus 8 equals 4. Now there's no more combinations we can do, so that's seems like we're kind of stuck. So we got to think back to our roots here. We got to think about what logarithms are. Well, we all know that logarithms are equal to the exponent, so let's try and rewrite this thing. So I'm going to rewrite the logarithm. So 3, our base is 3, raised to the exponent of 4, equals 9x over x minus 8. That was a perfectly legal move. I just rewrote it so it's a little easier to do. 3 to the 4th power is 81. Now we're just going to solve for x. To get that x out of the bottom, the x minus 8 out of the bottom, I'm going to multiply both sides. These would cancel out. Now we have 81x minus 648 equals 9x. Get all the x's to one side, so we got negative 648 equals negative 72x. And that means x is going to equal very simple 9. So I'm just going to double check to make sure this value of x is kosher with all these logarithms. If I plugged in 9 for this x, we get log base 3 of 81. That's positive, so that works out. Log base 3 of 9 minus 8 is still positive, so that checks out. So our answer is x equals 9. Okay, after watching that video, I think you should feel comfortable answering these problems. Numbers 43, 45, 47, and 48. Alright, give these a try, come to class with questions, and we'll get this nailed down.